Hey everyone, buckle up. Today we're diving headfirst into the clouds, not with a parachute, but with a whole lot of firepower. We're talking Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown for the Nintendo Switch. Launching on July 11th, this game will let you become a top-notch fighter pilot, soaring through beautiful skies and blasting enemies into oblivion. Pretty neat, huh? Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this game any good? Should I spend my hard-earned allowance on it? Well, hold on to your flight helmets, because that's exactly what we'll be figuring out today. We'll cover everything you need to know about Ace Combat 7 on the Switch, from its awesome features to, well, a few bumps you might encounter on the runway. So, what exactly is Ace Combat 7? Imagine this. You're in the cockpit of a super cool fighter jet, the kind that makes all the other airplanes jealous. You're zooming through cotton candy clouds, with mountains and cities whizzing by below. Suddenly, enemy planes appear on your radar. Bad guys who just don't understand the importance of peace and quiet. That's when you unleash your inner hero, dodging missiles and blasting them to bits with your high-tech weaponry. That, in a nutshell, is the thrill of Ace Combat 7. This game isn't just about pew-pew lasers though, although there are definitely some of those. It's also about strategy, thinking a few steps ahead of your enemy, and maybe showing off your fancy flying skills with some daring maneuvers. Here's the best part. Ace Combat 7 takes place in a fictional world called Strange Real, which means you get to fly over some pretty amazing locations. We're talking lush valleys, scorching deserts, and even giant space elevators. Pretty cool, right? Alright, enough with the intro. Let's get down to brass tacks. Now, the most important question. Is this game fun? Buckle up, because the answer is a resounding yes. Ace Combat 7 is a blast. It's fast-paced, exciting, and lets you unleash your inner maverick. Remember that awesome movie Top Gun? This game kind of feels like that. Dodging missiles, taking down enemy jets, and watching explosions light up the sky. It's like your own personal action movie, and you're the star. But wait, there's more. Ace Combat 7 isn't just about blowing stuff up, although, let's be honest, that's a pretty fun part. The game also has a story mode, where you play as a pilot nicknamed Trigger. The story's a bit complicated, with good guys, bad guys, and some political stuff that might go over your head a little. But hey, even if you don't understand every twist and turn, it's still fun to see what happens next. So far, so good, right? But is there anything not so good? Alright, gotta be honest here. Even though Ace Combat 7 is awesome, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, the graphics. Now, don't get me wrong, the game still looks pretty good, especially for a Switch game. But when you compare it to the versions on other consoles, like the PlayStation or Xbox, the Switch version might seem a little blocky. It's not a huge deal, but if you're a graphics snob, you might want to take note. Another thing to consider is the controls. Flying a fighter jet can be tricky, and while Ace Combat 7 does a good job of making it easy to learn, it can still take some practice to master. Don't worry, you won't need a pilot's license, but just be prepared to spend a little time getting used to the controls before you become a flying ace. First things first, your arsenal. Imagine a giant hangar filled with the coolest fighter jets ever built. That's basically what Ace Combat 7 throws at you. You get to choose from a whole bunch of planes, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. There are nimble little fighters that can zip and zag through enemy fire, and there are also big, chunky bombers that can unleash a whole lot of pain on your enemies. Just remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Use those bombs wisely. But hey, it's not just about the planes themselves. You also get to deck them out with all sorts of awesome weapons. We're talking missiles that lock onto enemies, machine guns that spit out bullets like a crazy sprinkler, and even some fancy laser beams. Pew-pew. Experimenting with different loadouts and finding the perfect combo for your flying style is half the fun. Alright, enough with the toys, let's talk tactics. Dodging missiles and blasting enemies into oblivion is definitely fun. But there's more to Ace Combat 7 than just brute force. This game rewards skilled flying and smart tactics. Here are a few things to keep in mind. Different enemy planes have different strengths and weaknesses. Some might be super fast, while others might be heavily armored. Learn to identify your enemies and exploit their weaknesses. The world of Strange Real is full of surprises. Use things like mountains and buildings to your advantage. You can even use the weather to your benefit. A well-timed dive into a storm cloud can help you shake off those pesky missiles. You're not alone out there, pilot. You'll often be flying alongside friendly planes. Learn to work together with your wingmen to take down tougher enemies. Sharing is caring, even when it comes to taking down bad guys. Speaking of taking down bad guys, let's talk about the story mode. Remember Trigger, the pilot you play as? Well, in the story mode, you get to see the world of Strangereal through his visor. It's a wild ride, filled with political intrigue, daring missions, and some pretty cool characters, although some of them might be a little questionable. The story might be a bit complex at times, but even if you don't understand every detail, it's still a lot of fun to see what happens next. But wait, is the story mode long? The story mode in Ace Combat 7 is a decent length, but it's not gonna last you forever. Don't worry though, there's plenty of replay value to be found. Once you beat the story, you can go back and replay missions with different planes and weapons, or you can even test your skills in online multiplayer mode. Imagine dogfighting against your friends or friendly strangers online. That's a whole new level of excitement. So, is Ace Combat 7 for you? This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, if you're looking for a fast-paced, action-packed game that lets you unleash your inner fighter pilot, then Ace Combat 7 is definitely worth checking out. It's got tons of planes to fly, tons of enemies to obliterate, responsibly, of course, and a story mode that, while a bit complex, is still a fun ride. But remember, there are a few things to keep in mind. While the Switch version still looks good, it might not be as visually stunning as the versions on other consoles. Flying a fighter jet can be tricky, and while Ace Combat 7 does a good job of making it easy to learn, it takes some practice to master. The story mode is fun, but it can be a bit confusing at times. Alright, enough with the warnings. Let's talk about some final tips. There are a ton of planes and weapons to choose from. Try them all out and find what works best for you. The more you play, the better you'll become. Don't get discouraged if you get blown up a few times. That's all part of the learning process. Have fun. This is a game, after all. So relax, enjoy the ride, and blow stuff up responsibly. Alright, that's all the time we have for today, pilots. I hope this guide has helped you decide if Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown on the Switch is the right game for you. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Now, go forth, conquer the skies, and become the ultimate ace pilot. Just remember, with great power comes great responsibility, so use those fancy weapons wisely. Hey there, gamers of all ages. Buckle up, because we're about to dive headfirst into the glorious world of Angerfoot, the upcoming PC game that's sure to tickle your funny bone and unleash your inner rage. In a totally positive way, of course. Now, you might be thinking, a game about a foot? That sounds weird. Well, my friend, weird is exactly what makes Angerfoot so darn awesome. You see, in this fast-paced, foot-stomping frenzy, you don't play as some boring old soldier or space marine. Nope, you are the foot itself. Imagine a giant foot, probably rocking some fresh kicks. We're talking neon pink with fuzzy dice, maybe, and that foot is you. You'll be kicking down doors, literally, that's kind of the whole point, and dispensing justice with your powerful toes in a city that's, well, let's just say it's seen better days. We're talking about Shit City, and yes, that's the actual name. But hey, don't let the name fool you. Angerfoot is all about over-the-top action and goofy fun. It's like someone took a classic beat-em-up game, cranked the weirdness up to 11, and then replaced the hero with a giant foot. Now, I know what you're thinking again. Is this game any good? That's a great question, and like any good meal, Angerfoot has its delicious sides and maybe a slightly burnt broccoli floret here and there. So, let's break it down, shall we? First up, the good stuff. Angerfoot is all about speed. You'll be blasting through levels at breakneck pace, leaving a trail of defeated enemies and splintered doors in your wake. The controls are nice and simple. Just point your foot, unleash a mighty kick, and watch the bad guys go flying. It's like playing a game of foot-based soccer, but instead of a ball, you're kicking grumpy gangsters. And speaking of grumpy gangsters, the enemies in Angerfoot are a delightful mix of weird and wacky. You'll be kicking butt, literally, against everything from gun-toting pigeons to muscle-bound chefs wielding giant spatulas. It's a hilarious and unexpected cast of characters that keeps the action fresh and entertaining. But here's the thing, Angerfoot isn't exactly the deepest game out there. The story is pretty basic. You're afoot, you're mad, we can only guess why, and you're gonna kick some serious backside. That's about it. And the levels, while fun to blast through once, might not offer a ton of replay value for everyone. So, is Angerfoot a must-have game? Well, that depends. If you're looking for a deep and complex story or a game with tons of strategic depth, you might want to look elsewhere. But if you're craving a quick burst of ridiculous fun, Angerfoot is the perfect pick-me-up. It's a game that doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's exactly what makes it so darn charming. Angerfoot isn't all about kicking and screaming, well, mostly screaming on the part of your enemies. This game boasts some pretty impressive features that really elevate the experience. First up, let's talk about the soundtrack. Buckle up, because Angerfoot's music is a glorious assault on the senses, in the best way possible. Imagine a high-energy mix of pounding techno, thumping bass, and, well, maybe some sound effects of people getting kicked in the shins. It's a soundtrack that perfectly complements the game's chaotic fun and will have you tapping your foot, or should we say feet, along. Now, visuals might not be the most important thing in a game like Angerfoot, but the developers haven't slacked off here either. The world of Shit City is a vibrant, cartoony mess, and that's meant in the most loving way possible. From neon-lit alleyways to sewers overflowing with questionable substances, every level is a visual feast for the eyes, though maybe not for the nose. And let's not forget about the most important part of any foot, the shoes. Angerfoot features a delightful selection of footwear for your stomping pleasure. We're talking everything from classic sneakers to rocket-powered boots, because why not? Each pair of shoes comes with its own unique perks, so you can customize your kicking experience to your liking. Do you want to be a swift ninja foot, leaving enemies in a blur of motion? Or maybe you prefer the heavy-hitting approach, a giant boot that squishes bad guys flat with one mighty stomp? The choice is yours, my friend. But here's the thing, just like that slightly burnt broccoli floret we mentioned earlier, Angerfoot has a couple of areas that could use some improvement. The visuals, while colorful and wacky, might not be for everyone. Some folks might find the art style a bit too simplistic. And while the soundtrack is undeniably catchy, it can get a bit repetitive after a while. Imagine hearing the same foot-stomping techno for hours on end. Even the most enthusiastic kicker might need a break eventually. Another thing to consider is the difficulty. Angerfoot is a pretty straightforward game. While there's a slight learning curve to mastering the perfect kick, it doesn't take long to get the hang of things. This might be a good thing for casual gamers who just want to kick back and relax, but hardcore gamers looking for a real challenge might find it a bit too easy. So, is Angerfoot's audiovisual experience a slam dunk? Well, it depends on your taste. The soundtrack is energetic and the visuals are wacky and fun, but they might not appeal to everyone. However, the shoe customization adds a nice layer of depth and lets you personalize your playstyle. Overall, the sights and sounds of Angerfoot are a solid kick in the right direction, even if they might not be a perfect fit for every gamer. But hey, that's what shoe shopping is for, right? Find the right pair of headphones and visuals, and you're in for a treat. We've reached the final leg of our Angerfoot exploration. We've stomped through the core gameplay, boogied to the soundtrack, and admired the, unique visuals. But the burning question remains, is Angerfoot a game worth kicking your virtual heels over? Let's break it down one final time. Angerfoot is a game that wears its heart, or should we say soul, on its sleeve. It's a hilarious, fast-paced romp through a wacky world, filled with outrageous enemies and enough foot-based puns to make even the staunchest pun hater crack a smile. The controls are simple and satisfying, the soundtrack is a foot-stomping good time, even if a tad repetitive, and the shoe customization adds a layer of strategic fun. Plus, who can resist the sheer absurdity of playing as a giant, possibly neon pink, foot on a mission to clean up the streets, or should we say sewers, of Shit City? However, Angerfoot isn't without its flaws. The story is basic, the visuals might be a bit too cartoony for some, and the difficulty might leave hardcore gamers wanting more. It's a game that's best enjoyed in short bursts, A perfect pick-me-up when you need a quick dose of silly fun. So, the final verdict? Here's the deal. If you're looking for a deep and complex RPG or a super challenging strategy game, Angerfoot probably isn't your best bet. But if you're craving a hilarious and unique experience that's guaranteed to put a smile on your face, then this game is definitely worth checking out. Think of it like this. Angerfoot is like that wacky pair of socks you keep hidden in your drawer. They might not be appropriate for every occasion, but when you're feeling down and need a good laugh, they're the perfect pick-me-up. So, there you have it. Our comprehensive guide to Angerfoot, the upcoming PC game that promises to tickle your funny bone and unleash your inner foot fury. Will you be adding Angerfoot to your gaming library on July 11th? The decision is yours, my friend. Just remember, if you do decide to take the plunge, get ready for a wild ride. And maybe invest in some noise-canceling headphones for those around you who might not appreciate the constant symphony of foot-stomping techno. Hey there, video game adventurers. Are you ready to dive into a world inspired by Japanese myths and legends? Buckle up, because we're about to explore Bua, Path of the Teal Lotus. This exciting action-adventure platformer hits PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X/S on July 18th. That's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. But before you grab your imaginary controller, let's unpack everything you need to know about this side-scrolling spectacle. Developed by Squid Shock Studios and published by the awesome folks at Humble Games, Bua, Path of the Teal Lotus promises a vibrant adventure. Imagine this: colorful landscapes bursting with life, legendary creatures from Japanese folklore lurking around every corner, and a brave hero named Bo ready to take on whatever challenges await. Now that's what I call a recipe for fun. Here's the gist of the story. You play as Bo, a young man who discovers a mysterious connection to the spirit world. Things get a little creepy when evil spirits start plaguing his village. Not cool. Being the courageous hero he is, Bo sets out on a quest to defeat these nasty spirits and restore peace. But wait, there's more. Along the way, Bo will unravel the secrets of his own past, and that, my friend, could get pretty interesting. Now, you might be wondering, what kind of gameplay are we talking about? Well, Bua, Path of the Teal Lotus is a 2.5D action platformer. So, picture this. You'll control Bo as he jumps, climbs, and fights his way through beautifully crafted levels. Think of it like a classic side-scroller with a modern twist. Expect to encounter all sorts of enemies, from mischievous kappa, turtle-like water spirits, just trust me, to fearsome oni, powerful demons. But don't worry, Bo won't be going into this brawl empty-handed. Our hero will wield a variety of weapons and abilities to vanquish his foes. We're talking swords that whoosh and slash, special attacks that go boom and crackle, and maybe even some cool gadgets. Who knows what surprises Squid Shock Studios have in store? And the best part? As you progress through the game, you'll unlock new skills and abilities, making Bo even more unstoppable. Just imagine the combos you can pull off. It'll be like a martial arts movie come to life. Now, all this talk of battles and enemies might make Bua, Path of the Teal Lotus sound super intense. But hold on there, Tiger. The game also promises a healthy dose of exploration. Those gorgeous landscapes we mentioned earlier, they're not just pretty backdrops, they're filled with hidden secrets and collectibles to discover. So, keep your eyes peeled for hidden pathways, treasure chests overflowing with goodies, and maybe even some friendly animal companions to befriend along the way. Now, let's peel back the lotus flower, get it? And discover more about the characters, world, and what critics have to say. Let's talk characters first. Besides our courageous hero Bo, you'll encounter a cast of colorful folks throughout your journey. There's the wise old mentor who guides Bo on his path, the sassy talking animal sidekick, because every hero needs one, and maybe even a mysterious villain or two pulling the strings from the shadows. The developers haven't revealed all the characters yet, but from what we've seen, they seem like a bunch of fun folks, or not so fun folks, depending on who you meet. Now, the world of Bua, Path of the Teal Lotus deserves its own spotlight. Imagine a world brimming with vibrant colors, from lush bamboo forests to misty mountain peaks. Squid Shock Studios promises a visual treat, with environments inspired by classic Japanese art. Think cherry blossom trees in full bloom, ancient temples nestled amongst towering mountains, and maybe even a spooky demon realm lurking in the shadows. Just a hunch? But the beauty isn't just skin deep. This world is teeming with life. From playful fireflies illuminating the night to mischievous kappa trying to steal your lunch, hopefully not your controller. Remember all those hidden secrets and collectibles we mentioned? Well, these add another layer of depth to the world. Exploring every nook and cranny might just lead you to a powerful weapon upgrade, a charming new animal friend, or maybe even a hidden story tidbit that sheds light on the game's lore. So, don't just rush through the levels. Take your time, explore, and soak in the atmosphere. Who knows what hidden treasures you might uncover? Alright, enough about the world. Let's talk about what the critics are saying. Path of the Teal Lotus hasn't officially released yet, but some lucky reviewers have gotten their hands on early access versions. The good news? The reviews are looking pretty positive. Critics praise the game's beautiful visuals, engaging combat system, and the sense of exploration it encourages. Some even compare it to classic side-scrollers with a modern twist, which sounds pretty awesome to me. Of course, no game is perfect. A few reviewers mentioned that the story might feel a bit predictable at times, and the difficulty might be a little easy for seasoned gamers. But hey, that doesn't mean you won't have a blast. Think of it like a relaxing stroll through a beautiful Japanese garden, with some exciting battles thrown in for good measure. By now, you're probably itching to grab your controller and dive into this fantastical world. But before you do, let's unpack the game's features, offer some helpful tips, and send you off with a heroic farewell. Path of the Teal Lotus isn't just about pretty landscapes and epic battles. It's packed with features that will keep you entertained for hours. Here's a quick rundown. Get ready to explore a vast, interconnected world. Unlock new abilities that allow you to access previously unreachable areas. Think secret passages, hidden waterfalls, and maybe even a giant monkey guarding a mountain path. Just spitballing here. Bow isn't a one-trick pony. Master a variety of weapons and abilities, from slicing swords to explosive gadgets. Experiment and find your perfect combat style. Become a whirlwind of blades or a tactical bomb-wielding hero. The choice is yours. As you progress, you'll collect upgrade points to enhance bow skills and abilities. Imagine powering up your attacks, improving your agility, or even unlocking a special move that makes enemies tremble in fear. Okay, maybe just a little nervous. No epic adventure is complete without some challenging boss battles. Prepare to face off against fearsome foes, each with unique attacks and weaknesses. Learn their patterns, strategize your attacks, and emerge victorious. Prepare to be dazzled by the game's stunning visuals inspired by Japanese art. Combine that with a beautiful soundtrack that perfectly complements the atmosphere, and you've got a recipe for pure immersion. Feeling pumped to become a bow master? Here are a few tips to get you started. Remember, the world is brimming with secrets. Don't just rush through the main story. Take your time, explore hidden pathways, and keep an eye out for hidden goodies. You might just stumble upon a powerful weapon upgrade or a helpful item that gives you an edge in battle. Combat is a core part of the game. Spend some time getting comfortable with bow's different attacks and abilities. Practice dodging enemy attacks, learn how to chain combos, and don't be afraid to experiment. The characters you meet throughout your journey might have helpful advice, lore tidbits, or even side quests. So, strike up a conversation and see what they have to say. You never know what you might learn. While the difficulty might not be super hardcore, there will definitely be some challenging moments. Don't get discouraged. Learn from your mistakes, adjust your tactics, and persevere. The feeling of overcoming a tough obstacle is unbeatable. That concludes our deep dive into Path of the Teal Lotus. We hope you're as excited as we are to embark on this captivating adventure. With its beautiful world, engaging gameplay, and charming characters, Path of the Teal Lotus promises to be a delightful experience for gamers of all ages. So, what are you waiting for? Grab your controller, prepare to unleash your inner hero, and get ready to bloom alongside Bow.